like to always check in with Chad about the light. I don't know how good the light is, but check out the light. So last week I hinted at this week's topic, and that's the topic I'm sticking with, and I'm going to just completely wing it. And I say that as if I don't wing it every week, but I feel like as soon as I'm done, I'll think of like the 40 other things I forgot to mention. But today's topic, I hear the bells. It's so great. I live between a church and a post office. It's so great. Anyway, this week's topic is, I'm calling it, the provocative title is AA Sucks Donkey Cock. Now, I've been thinking a lot about AA. I started AA on November 22nd, 2017, I believe. Yeah. And I quit probably 11 months ago. I think it was August of last year. Now, bear in mind, I quit drinking in 2000. I had a few single days out, as we say, which I always mention because people who are in recovery, that's really important for them. But I quit drinking alcoholically in January of 2000, and I never wanted to go to AA. And the reasons I didn't want to go to AA, and I said these jokingly, but now, now I've actually gone to AA, and I realized it was prophecy. It wasn't a joke. And I used to say, growing up in a huge family of dysfunctional people is a large reason I drank. Why would I want to go hang out with a large group of dysfunctional people? That's just going to trigger me and make me want to drink. And then the other big reason I avoided AA is because I really did not want to run into a lot of narcissistic, blowhard men. Now, I know they're everywhere in the world. They're unavoidable, except in my house. The only men allowed in my house have been grandfathered in, and that's it. And they are known to be non-narcissists. So there you go. You can protect yourself. Just buy a house and lock the door. Anyway, narcissistic blowhards, I feared them. I was raised by one, whatever. I was tortured by one. I was married to one. So I just had a hunch that AA would be full of people like that. And so I avoided. No, I didn't drink. I did therapy. I pursued a spiritual practice. I did yoga, meditation, Buddhist studies, all of which I continue to do. I call myself a quasi-Buddhist, and I really think that's the only way to be a real Buddhist, is to not get attached to Buddhism or what human beings do with it and create a hierarchy, which brings me back to AA. I don't like groups. But at that time, I was, in one of my protracted periods of experiencing suicidal ideation, like around the clock. I was really, I was just not recovering from this breakup from this man who had beaten me and cheated on me and all this other stuff. I was really fucking suffering, and then something bad happened. And long story short, a friend of mine who has been in AA said, hey, there are all kinds of recovery groups. Why don't you try? Or not, he didn't say, why don't you try? He just said, it won't hurt if you choose to try. That's right. That's the proper way to say it. You don't tell people what to do. And I was desperate enough to try. And I went in there and I did the opposite of everything I had always done. When I did go to groups, I was really quiet. I sat by the door. I didn't volunteer to do anything. I knew myself well enough to know the term they use in AA is a people pleaser, that I'm going to run around and just try to be friends with everybody. I like being friends with people, but in this case, I was in such a state that I knew if I hurled myself into what I call president of the student council headspace, because I was president of the student council, then I wasn't going to be able to work on me. And so I went rather kind of begrudgingly. I had tried AA once or twice over the years just out of curiosity, or people encouraged me, and it really it was not my thing. But this time around, I listened, I began sharing, and I started making some really great friends. To this day, they're my great friends. I also observed and experienced so much misogyny that we do not have time right now. Again, this happens in the society at large, but I'm just saying, like, I think it's particularly egregious that you can walk into an AA meeting, and if you're a young woman, especially a newcomer, I heard some guy say in a meeting once that at the rehab house, whenever they knew there was going to be a meeting of newcomers, they were like, well, let's go get her before God does. I mean, that's really fucked up, right? So I've seen these young women get hit on and, macked on. It's disruptive to their sobriety. It's dishonorable of the men. Yes, once again, I'm talking about heteronormative stuff because I'm not sure how it works with the LGBTQ community. And I don't want to speak for that. But I myself was preyed upon multiple times in AA, not for sexual favors, as you might imagine, because, oh my gosh, I'm 57, I have gray hair, and I speak my mind. Oh my gosh, how are you ever going to control something like that? And there was one guy in particular who just hated me. He hated me. Now, I know he didn't hate me. I just represented something. I don't know if his mom was strong-willed or his wife or his boss. My sense was that there was some woman in his life long before I came along who basically told him to fuck off. And I didn't even know him. And he would just get angrier and angrier. He would yell at me in meetings. It was so triggering. And then he kept trying to call meetings to have me kicked out of AA. And his argument was that I talk about AA and that breaks the rules. And his argument was whenever I would read the opening passages, I would substitute the word, I don't even remember what I would say. I certainly wouldn't use the word God. His higher power person, his or her choice. I don't even remember now. But this guy went after me full force. It caused a huge rift in our home group. And I had left once, come back. He went after me again. He went after me online. It was really fucking horrifying. And what I would hear from people, men usually, is the same thing I heard men counsel these young women who were getting hit on, which is, look, just, kind of like that boys will be boys thing. Like, this person is suffering, say the sick man's prayer. Oh, by the way, the other huge reason I didn't want to go to AA is I didn't want God shoved down my throat. Like, with all due respect to your faith and belief system, I don't want to get proselytized to. And people would hassle me for not using the word God or using a substitute. And I would explain, I'm not doing this just to come in here and start a fight. I'm here to tell you that I'm certainly not the only one in this room who was abused with a religion, who perhaps had our alcoholism triggered or exacerbated by the fucked up shit that religion did to us. We've heard it a million times, but I'll just say it again. I was sexually assaulted by my priest cousin. I don't want to hear the word God. It triggers me. And whenever they would read the Our Father or say the Our Father at the end of a meeting, like, I just look back and I'm like, wow, why did I ever stick around? And I know the answer to that. I'm going to get to that in a second. But anyway, so after I got through the trauma of this cunt head going after me and stalking me, and he's trying to run me off the road with his truck while I'm walking, after all that, I kind of settled back in. And during pandemic, I was attending probably 4 meetings a day by Zoom. Yep, that's right. Ta-da, I'm an addict. I never do anything by halves, nothing. So I'm going, and it's pretty much my main infrastructure through the beginning of pandemic. And it's helpful. And I'm also Zooming to meetings. Like at the height of that guy hassling me, I found meetings in Portland, Oregon, and Honolulu, and I'm attending those. I'm doing all right. And this is something I don't want to belabor because I posted at least one, probably more than one, really long, emotionally stressed out videos on this topic already. Feel free to scroll through my Facebook page and try to find them. But the short version of the story is there was a guy, I saw him when I first came in, and I just thought, wow, there's a grumpy old man in the corner that doesn't pay attention. He's in his phone all the time, like, whatever. I mean, he barely registered. And then like a year later, he said something that I thought was funny, and I told him so. And then before you know it, he is like contacting me, asking me if I'll share my story in AA, and I know that he's in the movie business, so I say, hey, will you look at my script if you want? You know, I know that some people don't like being asked that. And then he asks me to dinner, and then he says he's going to make me a TV star because he has all these connections, and Lucas Nelson is going to do the music, and Luke Wilson is going to like back it, and he's just giving me this big thing, and I was like, well, that all sounds fun and good. Like, I am in no way wowed by celebrity. There's no celebrity. I mean, there are people I admire, and I would probably break out in a sweat, you know, if I met them, because I would feel like when I met Bruce Springsteen, I just burst out crying. I mean, his music has helped me so much in my life. So anyway, I'm like, okay, well, it sounds like you have good connections, and let's do it. And we proceeded to work together on different projects for nearly a year and a half. And during that time, he was primarily on the golf course golfing, and then he would like text in some ideas, and then I would do all the writing, because I'm a great fucking writer, and I write really, really fast. And he would also like send me poetry and love songs and all this stuff. And, you know, I would also do that in return. I mean, I don't know what I thought, but the point is, once we completed a project, like really completed it, published a book together and put it out there, well, he backed off so fast, and he was online trolling for young chicks, which is his complete right to do. But here's my point. I didn't get hit on in AA for sexual stuff, but for intellectual stuff, I got really used. And you could say to me, hey, Spike, that's just a personal story. That's not a reflection of AA. And I'll look at both sides of that coin. One side is correct. I've been used and exploited by, active alcoholics, my own self, normies, people not in the program. However, I would say that this guy, when I realized how much he'd used me, like really fucking used me, and even after I cut him off, was going out and trying to do publicity for this book, like as if he had written it, it was just really fucking creepy. And I was in a meeting, I Zoomed to a meeting last year, like probably last August, and this guy and I had begun arguing because I'm like, fuck you, basically. And he Zoomed into a meeting, and apropos of nothing, starts talking about he just wanted everyone in the room to know that he was a man of integrity. And I'm just like, I literally logged off and I never went back. Because if he really thinks he's a man of integrity, and he was one of the, they have this saying in AA, stick with the winners. Like, look at people who have a lot of sobriety and seem to be living well. And this guy seemed to match all that, but he was just a fucking manipulator, like, a large percentage of the men in there. I mean, women, they say in Alcoholics Anonymous, all alcoholics are manipulators or whatever. My point is misogyny. And that's just what's happening when I'm interacting there. Now, you might say, well, go to a women's meeting. Okay, I can do that. That wasn't really what I wanted to do. I want to be around both genders. I want to learn how to be in the world. Plus, some of those women's meetings are so fucking catty. There, I said it. So the other thing is the literature, the big book in AA. It is just chock full of misogynistic bullshit, like the note to the wives. And it's just fucking disgusting. And whenever I would point that out, I would get this message, basically it's like the Bible, it's the original text. I'm like, look, surely they have taken out some racist passages. This is it. Women are always at the bottom, and I wager to say women of color are at the super bottom, and just we would be told just to suck it up. And there were a lot of women who said that, like, I accept this as it is. I accept this with the God stuff. I accept this with the man stuff, and I tried to roll with it. I did. They say take what works and leave the rest behind. And oh my gosh, it's such an offensive book. And there's so much in there where they ask you to self-deprecate and call yourself selfish and horrible and yada, yada, yada. So this vid's getting a little long. I'm going to recommend, especially if you're a woman, but this could work for you if you're a man. If you want to get sober and you don't want to do AA, Holly Whitaker's got a great book called Quit Like a Woman. There were some parts that didn't entirely agree with, but overall, she nails what is wrong with AA and women. I think I agree with her, and it's controversial. Every time somebody comes out and says something, about AA being shit, there's a huge fight. And I remember being on the other team. I remember reading a piece, I think it was by Caitlin Flanagan, who drives me fucking nuts, in the Atlantic many years ago about it just felt like clickbait. And maybe this video feels like clickbait now to some people. But she went more down the road of statistics. It doesn't really help people quit. I'm saying that the analogy I came up with, and my friend Marty's parents always told me not to argue by analogy. It's like this. I have no idea why it took so fucking long to put wheels on suitcases. Why did it take that long? Suitcases worked fine before. You had to lug them all around. And then there was this ease, this functionality. It's called evolution. It's adaptation. It's paying attention. And so AA, they often say that what brings people in is what they say is the gift of desperation. Yeah, there really isn't any other. There are budding other organizations that you can do that are non-AA based. Cool. I feel like we need more of them. It is long past time that we put wheels on suitcases. And finally, I'm going to say this. People in AA, the hardcore old timers, often can be heard to say you got to come every day for the rest of your life, or this is it, or if you don't come back, you're going to go out and drink. I'll tell you what, like I said, I quit in 2000. I was not a white knuckler, as people like to say. As I already mentioned, I pursued spirituality on my own and therapy on my own. So I hate this shit where you're if you're not in our club, you're not going to make it, you're going to die. No, I'm an example right here. Ta-da! Not only am I alive, I am happier than I've ever been, and I'm sure as fuck happier than when I was in AA. Oh, but I did promise to tell you the good parts. All of that said, I met so many good friends, so many. My AA people are the people that I talk to and see most often, because that's the thing. As with so many other problematic areas in our world, it's not the individuals, it's the fucking system. When are women going to be treated equally? So if you're a woman or man, and you want to quit, whatever, and AA is just not your route, I fucking hear you. And you can do it. There are other groups, there are other options, there are books. You can do it on your own. It's easier with help, but it can be done, right? Because I did it. So that's my message. AA sucks, and I really look forward to a day when we have more options. So I'll see y'all next week. Maybe next week we'll do hair braiding or something. We're gonna get it, weave in and out these heavy ones and the lighter ones. Okay, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Really glad to have you. Cheers. Get it? That's like a little drinking joke. Cheers. Bye.
Hey y'all, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you'll like and subscribe to my channel. And if you like this episode, I hope that you'll copy this link, share it with a friend, paint it on a wall, put it on your social media. That'd be great. Thanks a million. Take it easy.